name is Jeremy Hensel, and this is how you remove the AIS from a WR250. The AIS is a smog removal system that Yamaha puts on their WRs to make them legal to ride in some states on the trails. Many places don't require this system, so a lot of people remove the pump and hoses. When you remove the AIS, it should improve your airflow, improve performance. I've also been told it will get rid of that popping sound you get when you decelerate. To get started, you'll need to purchase one of the AIS removal kits. There's one from ThumperTalk. There's also a GUI-TR one you can get from your dealer. The ThumperTalk system is a cleaner looking with some really nice metal caps, whereas the GUI-TR is not quite as nice looking, but it's much easier to install. The GUI-TR system also comes with some jets, a throttle screw, and a couple extras. So I'm going to be installing the GUI-TR one on the 2006 WR250 right here. You're going to start by locating the AIS pump. It's located right behind the top of the kickstart in front of the frame tube, right here. When you locate the pump, you're going to notice there's a bunch of hoses running off of it. You're actually going to be disconnecting the hoses from the engine, where they start up here, right here, and then on the other side where it connects to the airbox. The two systems are a little different. The ThumperTalk kit, you actually remove the metal from the engine, which I've been told is a little bit of a hassle to do. Once again, it does give you a little cleaner look. If you do have questions on that, go to ThumperTalk and look in the forums. There are a lot of great suggestions on that. So let's get started. Step 1, turn off your fuel. We're going to start at the front and remove this first tube here. I'm going to loosen up this hose clamp on the front tube. After that, I'm going to remove this bolt right behind it with an 8mm socket wrench. After you remove the bolt, this whole hose should pull right out from the engine. Next, you want to remove the hose right behind that. This hose is really easy to remove. You just pull off the hose clamp and then yank the hose right off the engine. Okay, let's start with the rear hose. All we're going to do is we're going to take the small rubber cap that was supplied with the GUI-TR kit and place it over the fitting where the hose was removed. After that, we're just going to zip tie it in place and we're done. Next, we're going to do where we took off the front hose. We're going to take the soft metal collar and the hard metal cap, and we're going to put the softer metal inside the cap. After that's complete, we're just going to put the cap right on the hose and then secure it with the hose clamp. After that, I'm going to replace this bolt that was holding on the housing for the front hose. I just don't like to leave a big hole in the side of my engine. Next, we're going to remove the actual AIS smog pump itself. It's located right next to the frame here behind the kickstart. It's easiest to remove if you actually pull the kickstart out and use a socket wrench with an extension on it. It's an 8mm socket. There's only 2 bolts holding it to the frame, so it's really easy to remove. Now that the smog pump is free, you can reach behind the smog pump and remove the hose clamp that's holding it to the one remaining hose. If you do that, you can pull the entire pump free and it'll be a little easier to work with. There's one more hose we need to deal with, and this is connected to the airbox on the other side of the bike. To move to the other side of the bike, you want to remove the side panel to make it easier to reach the hose. Once you pull the side panel off, you'll see it just going into the front of the airbox. Pull this hose off, replace it with the one remaining cap you have left, and you're done. I found to remove this last hose, it's easiest to use a small pair of needle nose pliers to pull this hose clamp off of the last hose. Once you do this, you should be able to pull the hose right off the airbox and replace it with the cap that you have left. If you pull on the hose from the other side of the bike, you should be able to remove it. One trick to getting this last cap on is that you can actually rotate the plastic pipe that is coming out of the airbox towards yourself. This will make it a lot easier to get your fingers in to place the cap. Once you put the cap on, replace the hose clamp that was on the original pipe, and you're done. If you find that this hose clamp is actually a little too big because the new cap is smaller, you can also just use a zip tie. To use a zip tie, it's easiest if you actually make it into a loop ahead of time. Lasso your cap and pull it tight. Couple of final notes. As with any change to your intake, you may need to modify a few things like your jetting and fuel screw to have the bike run properly. Also remember, this is not an instruction manual. Follow the directions that came with your kit. This is just how I removed the AIS from my bike, which doesn't mean I did it right. Any changes you make to your bike can ruin it, so make sure you do a bunch of research first. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps. Have fun.